fly high and the sirens start to ring. Ain't nobody worrying.
Back to Roundtable. We have it cooking right now. We have a special guest, Mr. Michael Massie, attorney at law. The question on the table. Search warrant presented.
Yes, you can take a photograph of the search warrant once it's given to you, but you really don't need to do that. They will give you a copy of the search warrant. Even if for some reason they didn't give you a copy, the search warrant has to be filed. Every search warrant has to be filed in the circuit court where the search warrant was executed. So you can go right to the court and get a copy of it as well.
Out of curiosity, they don't give you a copy. It turns out nothing was filed with the court. In basic cases, the search warrant doesn't exist.
That's a problem.
That's a problem. All evidence collected is what they call fruit of the forbidden tree. Can you tell I watch? No.
I can tell fruit of the poisonous tree. But you
yes, the forbidden tree is a whole different. That's next episode.
Yeah, that would be a problem for the prosecution because obviously the defense attorney will challenge whether there was a search warrant existed or not. If there was no search warrant presented, the court's going to have a real problem with that document.
So if they say they have a search warrant and one was not filed or not signed off in time,
right?
Then, I mean, they can say that charges won't be brought against them, but the case would be thrown out.
Right, because that can happen by mistake, and it does happen by mistake. You know, because they're trying to time when somebody's going to get a document and when they're going to go and execute a search warrant. And it happens a lot in drug cases because if they see a lot of activity in the house, they're like, okay, somebody's done a big drop off. We want to get that guy before he gets away. Then they want to execute as soon as they can. They're on the phone. Do you have it? Do you have it? They might be close to having it, but it's still, the magistrate hasn't signed it yet. And they move a little too fast.
How long do magistrates stay up at night? Just.
They have regular shifts just like all of us.
Can you get a search warrant signed at like 9:30?
That happens on law.
Like, in the middle of Law and Order.
3 a.m.
Can you get a search warrant?
There's a magistrate working 24 hours a day.
Okay. All right.
That's actually true.
One for Mariska Haggerty. Okay. We have a lot of online viewers. Again, a lot of stuff comes off Facebook. Evidently, there was this law that was signed in New Jersey Supreme Court saying that they're regulating the way they do traffic stops now. For instance, if you pulled over for, let's say, a broken tail light, okay, they can only hold you as long as it takes to execute the summons for the broken tail light. In other words, they can't hold you if they think you're a suspected drug dealer and wait for the K-9 unit. Is that true?
Yeah, that's already the law in Virginia. If you've been pulled over for an offense that the officer's only authority is to issue you a summons, the only thing he can do after he writes the summons is to immediately take it to you, give you the summons, and give you your license, and you are allowed to leave. Now, the only exception is if there's an offense that he believes you will not stop committing. Say, for example, if you get pulled over for littering because you have a truck that has trash continuously falling out of it, and you don't have a means to secure that stuff. Well, he can keep you there, detain you, keep the truck until you get some means to get it secured so that the misdemeanor action will not continue. So there is a provision that if the officer believes that you're going to continue with the act, even though it's a summons offense, then they can still detain you. They can actually arrest you.
So in this rare instance, that's 1 point for the internet?
That's 1 point for the internet.
1 point for the internet. Clap it up, ladies and gentlemen.
So the officer uses his own discretion.
Right. Yeah, he has to. And that's why that job is really difficult. I mean, there's been a lot of criticism about the police. You know, and I'm a strict defense attorney. I hold them to the highest standards. But I know from my 22 years experience that most of them are good, honest people. They're just bad ones. And I tell people, why do you think they're not going to be bad police officers? They're bad teachers. They're bad trash men. They're bad lawyers. They're bad everything. And they're good everything. And there's more good than bad. So I think that what happens is cases get sensationalized to some
Absolutely.
extent.
Absolutely.
I think that the prudent thing to do is to do what the attorney did in Baltimore, to the extent that when you see something that has happened to a person and it is clearly criminal, then just act on it right away. The same way you will do if I go out there and shoot somebody. Just act on it right away. And I think that's what has led to a number of the problems that we have seen in cities, is that they want to give deference to officers. Don't give them deference. If they've done a criminal act, then treat them like a person who's done a criminal act. That will alleviate a lot of the problems that you see thereafter. And that's why the state attorney in Baltimore, she acted as fast. I don't know what those people expected, but she acted as fast as she could, and she acted very deliberately. She treated them just like anybody else who committed a crime, you know? And people are like, well, all of them aren't gonna get convicted. Well, so what? Everybody that goes to court's not gonna get convicted. That doesn't mean that she didn't have sufficient evidence to charge her. There's clearly sufficient evidence to charge her just on a conspiracy theory by itself. Anybody that knows any law knows that. Still doesn't mean they'll all be convicted, but that's how court goes.
Mr. Barclift.
Yeah, you was mentioning the good ones and the bad ones.
Yeah.
Now, forgive me, but from what I've heard, that the good ones don't tell on the bad ones, because there's a brotherhood code between police officers, and they say that if one police officer snitches on another police officer, there will be great retaliation, up to including if that officer is in trouble and calls for backup, the other officers will not show up in his defense.
I'm sorry, I want to be specific here. This is the blue line, not the brotherhood. Don't mix the two.
The thin blue line.
I think that you're right in what you're saying, and that there is a culture in that. But just think about it from a logical point of view. I don't know if you've ever been involved in any group, any like male group. I'll give you an example, like my fraternity brothers. We did a lot of bad things in college, criminal things, you know, that we just took for granted, you know, stealing stuff out of stores, you know, just stealing liquor a lot. You know, but there was a culture in us that we would never tell on, no matter what happened, we were not going to tell on one another, because we were in a fraternity and we protected one another. And all of us have been in groups where we protect people for any given number of reasons, but the main reason is that loyalty to that organization. Does that make it right? I'm not saying it's right, but I'm saying that I always want to put police in a very humanistic point, because we kind of dehumanize them. I think there's some culture that we are not used to. But we all have been a part of groups like that as well. And that we go through untiring means to protect someone that's in that group.
To that, I would say two things. Usually, the stuff that we protect each other for doesn't involve someone getting killed or going to jail for a crime they didn't commit. And we haven't sworn and took an oath of service to the community and get paid by community tax dollars. And also, if one of the good ones sees a bad one do something to an innocent person and says nothing about it, is he still a quote-unquote good one?
No, he's not one of the good ones. He's one of the bad ones too. I think you're making the assumption that all of them would take that same position. And I don't believe all of them would. I believe there's a culture of them that would, that are going to turn a blind eye. Yeah, I agree with you on that, but I don't believe all of them.
So you believe media sensationalism has basically demonized the police culture?
Well, I'm not going that far as to say we demonize.
Okay.
I would just say that, you know, when something happens of great magnitude like Baltimore, then it's great news to keep putting that in front of the public and then painting this picture of the police in a very negative light. And they're doing it oftentimes simply for ratings, you know. And my experience, and I have been dealing with police officers, I have seen some very, very bad police officers. And I've seen mostly really good police officers. But my point really is just that they're just no different than any of us. Now, if more of us decide that we are going to become educated and get in the system. When I was a prosecutor, when I did drug cases, I was on the drug team for about a year and a half or two. And if I saw that an officer had done something wrong in a drug case, not fully violated the law, I just dismissed it. But you can't dismiss it if you're not at the table. You gotta be at the table. You gotta be in the prosecutor's office. You gotta be police officers. You gotta be judges. You can't sit back and complain the same way I said about when we were talking about jury duty. You can't complain about things and not take any effort to make some change. And your change does not have to be in one of those positions. Your change can be in the community. You know, you can be a part of the community policing that takes place. That's one of the most effective ways to keep peace in the community is when there's really effective community policing. And that's where civic organizations in the community can really be powerful.
When we come back, one question they say can get you out of hot water, but it doesn't hop you out of the frying pan into the fire. We'll find out if it has a legal leg to stand on when we come back.
Where do you come up with these?
Ain't nobody